Shalom, shalom. We are officially beginning the book of Shemot. By this time, our people have been entrenched in Egyptian society in Egypt for several generations. And now, after the death of Yosef HaTzadik, bad things start to happen to our people. They were enslaved, put under heavy labor, their babies were being killed, and so on. It was a terrible time, and they cried out to Hashem, and Hashem sent Moshe Rabbeinu to be the deliverer, to lead them out of Egypt. So this sermon is going to be about, focus a lot on Pesach, which is coming up in a very short time. Before you know it, it will be here. So I've entitled this sermon, Yetziat Mitzrayim, the Freedom Mindset. So as it was coming close for the Israelites to leave Egypt, Moshe had some special instruction from Hashem for them. So in Egypt, each household was to acquire and slaughter its own lamb. If the household was too small, then two households could combine and share. The Israelite people were then to use hyssop to place the blood on the doorposts in order to ward off the angel of destruction. The people were told that they would have to do the Pesach service every year in commemoration of the Exodus. But there were some changes. The blood would be poured out at the base of the altar instead of being placed on each individual's doorpost. Furthermore, they would have to travel to the place that Hashem had specifically ordained and designated for communal worship, because the Pesach could not be sacrificed at just any other place, but at the place where Adonai Elohecha will choose to establish the divine name. There alone shall you slaughter the Passover sacrifice in the evening at sundown, the time of day when you departed from Egypt. We find this in Devarim 16 and verse 6. When we read the last phrase beginning with in the evening at sundown, it would seem as if that was the time of day when Israel left Egypt. However, if we take this literally, it would be a clear contradiction of other Torah passages regarding Yetziat Mitzrayim. This may require a little digging, so let's get going with one of the first questions. When exactly did Am Yisrael leave Egypt? According to the above Pasuk, they left in the evening at sundown. However, it is clear from both Parshat Bo and Parshat Beshalach that they left at dawn. Their actual freedom came at night when he, meaning the Pharaoh, summoned Moses and Aharon in the night and said, "Up, depart from among my people, and the Israelites with you. Go worship Adonai as you said." And that's in Shemot 12, verse 32. However, their actual departure was in the morning, as stated in Sefer Bamidbar. They set out from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. It was on the morrow of the Passover offering that the Israelites started out defiantly in plain view of all the Egyptians. That's Bamidbar 33, verse 3. What are the clues given to us in the Pasuk? First, the Torah states it was on the morrow. Now, our English language has been undergoing significant changes, and there are words we don't use very often anymore, if at all. Morrow is one such word, but we still say tomorrow. So we should be able to understand and deduce that morrow means the morning. For most people, morning is connected with sunrise. The next clue in the Pasuk is the statement that the Israelites left Egypt in plain view of all the Egyptians. Leaving in plain view meant that they did not leave under cover of darkness. They weren't incognito, but were bold and open. Not only that, but the Torah made it plain that the Egyptians were also pressing them to leave. Therefore, in the evening, at sundown, the time of day when you departed from Egypt, is not to be taken as one specific time for the singular event of Israel's exit from Egypt. As a matter of fact, Rashi points out that there are three different times mentioned in the phrase. According to Rashi, the explanation is at evening, that is from the 6th hour, reckoning from 6 o'clock in the morning and onwards, you shall slaughter it. And when the sun goes down, you shall eat it. And at the time when you left Egypt, in the early morning, you shall burn it. That is to say, it must be removed to a place of burning. Rashi. It is clear then that the context of the Pasuk is the Passover offering. But the final result of Am Yisrael leaving Mitzrayim is indelibly linked with that first Passover offering and all it entailed. Without that offering and the blood of the offering of the on the doorposts, not a single Israelite would have been able to leave Egypt. For they too might have been busy burying their own dead. Thus, instead of leaving, they would have found some sense of solidarity with the Egyptians, and the remaining 20% would have become irredeemable. And let me explain that. For those who may not be aware, in our traditions, some of our commentators and sages believe that only 20% of the Israelites, of the Jews, made it out of Egypt in the Exodus. Now, why did the Torah use the phraseology, the time of day when you departed from Egypt? Actually, the Torah did not. Not exactly. The Torah uses the word moed, which means appointed time, and also it could mean season. Thus, the more accurate wording would have been at the appointed time or at the season when you departed from Egypt. Still, there is a reason why the Torah conflates these times, making them appear as if they were a single point in time. This is not a matter of the chicken or the egg, but a natural progression of events that resulted in their wonderful expulsion from slavery and their departure from the place of their enslavement. If we take the words, the time of day when you departed from Egypt, we can appreciate the words of Tehillim. For his anger endures but a moment. Life results from his favor. In the evening one lies down weeping, but with dawn a cry of joy. Tehillim 30, verse 6. The anger of Hashem is like the scorching heat of the sun at noon when it is at its zenith. The word evening is not referring to night, but to the afternoon, Erev. Evening has the idea of mixture. It also means desert, like the Arava. God. But Erev also means mixture. And and so does the word Arab, which is the same root. It is that time when light and darkness begin to slowly intermingle as the sun moves towards its nadir. Erev is therefore synonymous with their enslavement, for it took them to their lowest point where it was no longer so easy to find hope. Then with morning, with dawn, came freedom. But they were already free. And they had already spiritually distanced themselves from Mitzrayim. The moment they made a korban of the lamb, a major Egyptian deity, to Hashem, they willingly cut themselves off from Egypt. In their hearts and by their actions, they consecrated themselves to Hashem, Ha-Elohei Yisrael, thus leaving Egypt behind. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu is credited for saying, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." As true as that statement may be, the journey must already be completed in a person's mind and heart before a single step can take place. Near the end of his life, Sir Robert Nesta Marley, otherwise known as Bob Marley, the Jamaican reggae superstar, wrote and recorded his final masterpiece, Redemption Song. The second stanza of the song includes these lyrics: "Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the tide. Won't you help me sing this song of freedom? For all I ever have, redemption song." I hopefully got all the words correctly. It's been a while. Anyways, so emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. These words reinforce the fact that it all begins internally, mentally and spiritually. So although Am Yisrael geographically was still in Egypt with the Korban Pesach, they were already mentally and spiritually in Eretz Yisrael. Granted, once they physically departed Egypt, they did face a number of setbacks which kept trying to pull them back to Egypt. But that is to teach us that mental and spiritual freedom is something that we have to work on and reinforce every day. We must always keep in front of our eyes the end goal, for only when we envision our arrival can we truly arrive. Baruch Hashem.